Nicole, Broadway, it's happened. You're here. Childhood dream realized.
Yes, this is my childhood dream. It's crazy. A lot of people don't realize that I grew up loving the theater and musical theater, and I always dreamed of coming to Broadway. It was just going to be the right time and the right show. So here we are, Sunset Boulevard.
The right time is interesting because I feel like a lot of actresses sort of get in their head, right, a goal like that, and it does come at the right time, in the right circumstances. And this, like you said, I loved when you won your Olivier Award. You said, this is not, I had a lot of dream roles, this was not it. And when I heard that, I thought, she probably meant Kim and Miss Saigon. Because weren't you like, you were really into Miss Saigon.
I'd give my life for you, Hunty. Yes, that was one of my dream roles. And, you know, like, Tup Tim and The King and I and T Moon and Once on This Island. But yeah, never thought of Norma Desmond would be I feel like after now obviously knowing her story and you know, the music is in my veins, I just feel like it was written for me.
Yeah. Speaking of veins and blood, it's so nice to see you fresh-faced today.
Not for long. I do have a show pretty soon.
I've become very used to seeing photos of you covered in blood.
Yeah.
It's a good look. But I love that you're doing the celebrity people come backstage, you're posing with them in the blood. I mean, I love that.
Well, it's just because our first preview that I believe you were there for, I was so excited. And I'd never gone out and signed
in the stage door.
At the stage door is my first time on Broadway. So I literally left the stage and went straight out, barefoot Norma. I gave it to him raw. You know, I wanted to feel the energy. And now sometimes I do greet people afterwards in blood, but that's because I just takes too long to wash it off and get ready. So, you know.
Which brings me to my number one question. I mean, we all know the Elphaba makeup removal process. It's a very long shower, and the drain over at the Gershwin Theater is green from all the green makeup. So how does the blood, what is the
My drain is red.
Okay, you have a red drain? Okay.
Yes, it looks like a bloody mess in my shower, and then I've got different exfoliators and weird gloves that have like red stains. I want to be like, guys, we need to clean these gloves. If someone were to walk into my shower, it looks really scary.
It's like, am I in an American Horror Story or Sunset Boulevard?
Yes.
I love it. But, you know, I saw the production. I'm a huge fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber. I think you are too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, a lot of the reason why I love Broadway is because of Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals, including Sunset Boulevard. I know the show by heart. I could sing it badly from start to finish. So when I went to see it in London, you know, I knew you were doing the role. I sat down in that theater really early in a preview. I expected to see you in a turban coming down the steps, and it was so exciting to sit there and to being able to rediscover something that you think you know so well, you know, a 30-year-old musical, a 70-year-old movie, and to be able to sit there, it's such a unique experience, and I think that's what everyone is really reacting to now. But you think you know every beat of what's going to happen, and audiences are just like pin drop silent, just edge of their seats.
Well, that's the beauty of our fearless leader, Jamie Lloyd, our director, the visionary, who was like, no, we're stripping everything back. And obviously we have this beautiful, brilliant score, which is the soundtrack of my life the past year by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Don Black and Christopher Hampton, who wrote the lyrics. But as you said, it's all stripped back. There are no distractions, so it really allows your imagination and to just go to work and to create. So it's like a very reciprocal energy, you know, on that stage. And I feel so blessed that Jamie chose us. Particularly, you know, every single one, the show is very nuanced, you know, and there is nothing else on that stage except for us to really open ourselves up and share our real abilities, all of our abilities, and just to tell the most honest, truthful story. It's just our talents really that are up there. I mean, also the most unbelievable lighting. I've not seen the show, but I hear the lighting is exquisite, and then obviously we've got the cinematography,
it's amazing,
the camera work, and the screens, and the sound. We just have a brilliant team who's pulled it all together to create this whole new experience and bringing something really unique to Broadway and a unique way of storytelling, which is just kind of stripping it all back.
And finally,
letting the story really truly connecting with the story of these characters, the human story, and letting that speak for itself.
And Norma gets her close up, which I love. Norma gets her close up.
Not what people would expect, but she does get her close up.
So what I'm curious about, so Jamie Lloyd came to you, obviously, with this idea of this show. Was the vision all sort of explained from the very beginning? I'm curious about what it was like actually discovering it in the rehearsal room. Like, God, I would just wish I could have been in that room and seen how it all sort of came together, because this show ended up having a lot of revisions, right? And some period references were stripped out, and it was sort of like, it was really rebuilding a new show.
Jamie came to me about this show over a few years ago, and he came to me with this big idea. Obviously, I heard the idea and I was like, this is your big idea, right? Like, to play this like deranged, faded film star. You know, I always say, honey, I'm a pussycat doll. I'm still good under bright lights, you know? But he just was like, please just read the story. And when I read the script, he sent me the script that night. When I read the script, it wasn't at all at what I'd remembered only in the film, the 1950s film that I had seen.
Sure.
He was like, just read the script and read her story. And when I read it, I really connected with Norma. I really empathized with her. And I really understood her on so many levels. And then I listened to the music. I couldn't believe it. I'm a musical theater fan, and I didn't know the music to Sunset Boulevard. And that's when I fell madly in love with her. You know, these songs, these lyrics, I feel like they were written for me. I'm back where I was born to be. I've come home at last. You know, we'll give the world new ways to dream. So I was like, okay, I think I get this. I really do. Like, I couldn't believe what I was absorbing in this material. Maybe this was my answered prayers to be able to. A lot of people just knew me for the dolls, and they didn't, you know, this I would be able to kind of share, you know, open up and see so many different sides of me people didn't know, right? And so after reading the script and discovering that I fell in love with the music, we talked about it before we ever got in the room. We discussed certain parts of the story. We discussed it, you know, parallel and mirroring my life in a lot of ways. So we talked at least 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
Just digging in and getting really personal with it and saying, listen, what about this perspective and this is my take on the story, because I can only bring, you want me to bring myself to it, I can only bring my authentic self by telling my story. And so Jamie was so receptive and open, and just really encouraged myself and all of the other actors to bring ourselves to the story. And so then by the time we got into rehearsals, Jamie creates a really sacred space for us. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, and it felt really safe. And we just got to unfold the story of these characters. It wasn't anything presentational. From day 2, we had mics on.
Oh, wow.
So we got to just get the words out and bring these bring these characters to life in the moment. You know, and it just all unfolded organically and naturally.
What is it like to just have one costume? And I mean, I feel like you talk about sort of being able to focus on the meat of the part. Once you take off sort of the trappings of all of the that's the whole point of it. I mean, the original production was so lavish. The set was enormous, and it lifted up in the air, and everybody was like, how is that happening? This mansion lifted up, and the costumes, I mean, the nonstop costume changes. And so to be able to just focus on the story and the music and the words.
Well, needless to say, I was hardly thrilled when I found out I wasn't going to have any costumes, because I was like, listen, I want leopard print everywhere. I want a leopard print turban, a leopard print caftan. How many different leopard print versions can we have of this? And they were like, no, you're wearing a black slip. And I was like, can we throw in a white slip? Can we throw in a red slip? Like, how many slips are we talking? And he was like, 1. And I was like, what? And then I was like, well, what cute shoes am I stepping into? And he was like, you're barefoot. And I was like, you're just taking me out of all my comfort zones, you know? But like you said, it's great because it's so minimal, it's so bare and stripped back. And you get to the real meat and the heart of the stories of these people. And, yeah, and when you really connect and you get rid of all the noise, then that's when people, the story really comes to life. The imagination, like reading a book, you know, in these people's minds and in these hearts, and that takes over.
And it is about a silent film star, but it's about so much more. I mean, it's about...
oh, yes.
I mean, that's the... you know, when I was watching you do it for the first time, I thought this could be... a reality star in modern day, like and even especially because you add a lot of great contemporary humor to it, and you know, because Norma Desmond is also sort of this campy character, right? I mean, it's very over the top. I mean, drag queens have played Norma Desmond for many years, but when you're treating her as a woman in a circumstance, it just adds so much more possibility to relate to it.
Absolutely. The story is so relevant for all the characters. And for the entire story of Sunset Boulevard, it's so relevant today. And it's not just about, like you said, a faded silent film star. It's not even just about age. It's about the human story and the human journey and the battle that so many of us go through. You know, whether that is feeling, having to deal with change. Having to deal with time. Where does the time go? Not only just age, but having to deal with loneliness, abandonment, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard. When you get to the heart of that, then that's when people are really able to connect.
And when you were first cast...
In their own way.
Yeah, and I remember when you were first cast, everyone thought, oh, she's too young and beautiful to play Norma Desmond. And I thought, she's the exact right age. And the whole point is that Norma is a vibrant, beautiful woman. It actually makes it more heartbreaking when you see how much potential there is to celebrate Norma.
That's the tragedy. Is when we were playing with Salome, I thought, okay, like what silly stuff are you going to want me to do? I'm obviously going to bring my sense of humor to this, Jamie. You know, what kind of old school kind of dancing do you want me to do? He's like, oh, there's no old school dancing. You're going to do like the stuff you did in the Pussycat Dolls. And I was like, but that's cool. And he's like, yeah, you're going to do you. And I was like, but that's not like, you know, Salome, like old school. And he's like, no, that's the tragedy, is you are so vibrant, you are so full of life, you're, you know, more fit, more brave, more everything than ever. And then the industry still, you know, just looks at your age and dismisses you. And it's the truth. It's crazy. I think when I started to hit my 30s, you know, people are like, you just go from like one age to like the mom. You know, you're like, wait, where? I just like jumped, you know, and they were like, they like don't want to consider you for like so many things. And you're like, are you kidding me? It's a bit crazy.
I want to talk about your mom. When you won your Olivier, you said that the warrior of Norma Desmond comes from your mom. Tell me about her.
Oh my goodness, my mother. My mother is my everything. She had me when she was 18 years old, and so she sacrificed everything for me her whole life. And she's just a beautiful, selfless, heart, but she's also incredibly strong, as are all of the women in my family that I admire and look up to. I mean, I have come from a long family of warrior women who just, you know those women that just hold it down for the entire family, like that, I don't want to say that silent suffering, but just that selfless love and sacrifice for their family. And I'm very proud to be of Hawaiian, Ukrainian, Filipino descent. So I know that my ancestors that came before me play a big part of who I am as well. So I would like to bring that groundedness and that connectedness to it. But yeah, growing up, it wasn't, I come from really humble beginnings. Yeah. And it's just nice to remember where you come from and your family, my mother, my whole family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my tutu, my papa, all my millions of aunts and uncles and cousins. They keep me, my faith strong and keep me very grounded.
Yeah, and I know you were growing up in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kind of working class, right? Your family, and you wanted to get into theater, and I heard that when you were a teenager, you got into the production of La Bête at the Actors Theater of Louisville, right? Wow. Which is a great costume play. You played the Acolyte. What was it like? Was that sort of your first professional moment? And what was it like to be surrounded by theater people and to escape to that world?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I had the honor. I was at the Youth Performing Arts High School in Louisville. I had kind of found my kind and my tribe, but it was such a young age. I think I was like 14, just turned 14, and I booked my first job at the prestigious Actors Theater of Louisville for the Humana Festival, a French play called La Bête. Didn't speak a lick of French, but my name, Nicole, is French. And it was a whole new world for me to enter that sacred space. We got to be around those brilliant actors and to watch and to learn from them. And I would later go on to do another play for the Humana Festival called The Survivor, a Cambodian Odyssey about the Khmer Rouge, which was very heavy. But I will never forget, that's like a big part of my foundation. The roots of my training was at that theater, to be around those professionals. Like, these were professionals. This was like big time people. They'd fly in to come and do this theater. I will tell you though, I was so green. It was my teacher, God bless him, he's not with us anymore, Mr. Vaught, who said, you need to audition for Actors Theater of Louisville. And I was like, okay. And he's like, what are you gonna audition with? And I was like, I've got the perfect piece. And I went into the audition room for Actors Theater of Louisville, French play, La Bête. And I swam around and I sang, look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? And I sang The Little Mermaid. That's all I had. I was so young, I didn't know what I was doing. But obviously I convinced them that I was a Little Mermaid because I got the role.
Now I wish I saw you do that role. You must sing more of it.
I gotta save my voice for tonight.
You learn however you learn, right? And you're exposed to theater however you are, and you know what I mean? They saw that in you. And I know in college then you actually got to do tell me about some of the roles you got to do.
Yeah, I went to Wright State University. I had the most wonderful, beautiful teachers and professors at my high school, but then also in college as well. And I played, Miss Sarah Brown.
Great.
In Guys and Dolls, Julie Laverne in Showboat. I played Punchinella in Commedia dell'arte show called Round Peg, Square Holes.
Wow.
I played in this play, The Harlem Renaissance. I played Velma Kelly in Chicago.
Fabulous.
let's see, I've done Tup Tim and
King and I.
and the King and I and Summerstock Theater.
I love it.
A lot of different things. I played T Moon and Once on This Island and High School and Alice in Wonderland the musical. And
I mean, there was a whole different version of this where I would have met you 25 years ago, but then you became a pop star. I mean, it's just so fascinating.
So that's what people don't realize, that this is kind of where I grew up, at loving this space, and where I really got to spread my wings and realize, wow, this is my tribe, this is my kind, this whole beautiful creative, all these creatives. And then I moved to LA, honey, and it was all gone from there.
Well, now you're here, and you are an overnight Broadway star. I mean, it must just, I can't imagine how it feels.
I'm an overnight Broadway star, God bless you for saying that. That's taken many, 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 many years to get here.
But what's incredible is people who don't know about all that past and maybe just know you from, like me, maybe their Get Ready song is Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls, and they know you from that, but then they're sitting down and you're showing all of that experience that you just said. I mean, you were doing classic plays when you were a kid in addition to big musical roles, and you're getting to show all of that.
You were getting ready with me to Buttons, but now you're going to be getting ready with me to Buttons or with One Look.
I did it this morning.
When I grow up, or
options.
As
Buttons
if we never said
with
goodbye.
Exactly.
I love that. Getting ready with One Look.
And that's the full Norma Scherzinger. That's the full Nicole Scherzinger, right?
Yep.
You get both sides of you.
Yep.
It's just an incredible opportunity.
And that is that, like you said, what an incredible opportunity to be able to have a beautiful piece of material where I can show all of my abilities, all of my gifts, and all of my talents. I feel extremely grateful. I've always prayed for the right time and the right opportunity, and it's now. So anybody out there, do not give up. Because sometimes you think, is it ever going to come? You know, and all the patience and the pushback and the pain was for a reason. That's for sure.
So now you're in power. What do you want to do next? Broadway. Let's make a dream list. Are you going to stick around? I mean, I know you have a nice, healthy run of Sunset ahead of you.
Yeah, let me get through this 9 months, the rest of this upcoming 9 months. My ultimate dream is to create my own musical. I've had that in my heart and my mind for the past 10 years. So I've kind of been working on that in the background, slowly but surely. But
writing it?
Yes.
And starring in it?
Music and everything.
Wow.
Yes. So hopefully this is a great springboard and platform for me to be able to connect all the dots and put the pieces of this puzzle together. But I want to do it right, so it will take time, but that's my dream.
I love that. You know, the other thing I want to ask you is, you are getting mid-show standing ovations, which is not a normal, by the way. Not that many actresses can say that they've experienced that. That's not like, that doesn't happen every night on Broadway.
Really?
What is it like to actually experience it? It's funny because Norma, you're staying very serious through, you know what I mean? There's not like a, thanks guys, there's never that energy, not even in the curtain call. It's the whole thing is extremely focused.
You know, somebody asked me that the other day. They were like, oh my gosh, a 6-minute ovation. What are you doing? And I'm like, I think when you pour out like everything, like you just really are there to be a vessel, and you try to really wholeheartedly give all of yourself, your heart and your soul. I think after the performance, you're collecting yourself, right? And then you realize, like, you're there, you're receiving, you're connected with that exchange, but you're in character because you got the rest of the show to continue, you know? So you're still, it's a really magical and powerful exchange, I think, then between myself and the audience. Like I feel really, truly connected, like we're in this together. You know what I mean? Now let's grab the rest of the show by the balls and go.
Well, it's all about the beautiful people out there in the dark, right? And hearing them, and she's doing it for them. So I feel like it probably just adds to all of that.
It really does, because when we do With One Look, there's a part where she sings the song and then the instrumental takes over with the gorgeous sweeping orchestra and the sound. And then the UK, they never did this, but obviously it's a Broadway audience, and they start clapping before the song's over. I'm like, why are they clapping? But I'm like, this is for Norma. And in Norma's mind, she hears the applause. And it's so beautiful. It's like they become a part of the storytelling as well.
Yeah. I love it so much. You'll be seeing me at the St. James Theater often.
Yay, good.